Looks like that one worked. Had a little bit of an issue with Twitter. Sorry, folks. But seems to be 5x5 right now. Hey, Leeroy, would you want to check to make sure we're good on Twitter or Wimkin? You can pick whatever one. Actually, I just checked.
I'm looking at Wimkin. Hang on.
Okay. I'll check Twitter.
Yep, we're live.
Yep, we are live on X too. Good job. All right, well, welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Oh, no, maybe we're not live on X. What the shit? Hold on, checking. Oh, dude. There it is. It's at the top.
Delay.
No, it's not. No, it's not on there. What the fuck? It's... Hey, guys, can you see it on Twitter? Let me know. Not a good thing. It says live, but it's not showing up on my splash page. There it is. Okay. All right. We'll take it. All right, everybody, welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me show. Sorry for the delay. It wasn't our fault. You're listening to Still Point. You're listening to an old song from Still Point, the one that we... Yeah. This is the first song we kind of started off with, which is Citizen Soldier. If you have not heard it, Still Point is amazing. You can go listen to them on all music channels. Go give them a follow. They're talking about putting on a show for us this summer. We'll talk about it. We'll see you guys in 3 minutes. If my Twitter peeps can do me a favor, get on over there and get us spam doozled. We would appreciate it. We're sitting with about 9 people watching, but we need more. Go get them. Thank you.
So confused, you feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news. Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop offering me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up on the facts. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dad.
Hey, Matt, congratulations on your success, brother. And I really appreciate you giving, both sides, and just free speech, the opportunity to have a platform, dude.
Got it. You got it. Thanks for everything you've done for this country, Eli. We'll talk next time. Tell Jen hello, and I'll have this ready in a couple of hours, and you can share it and take a look. Thank you, man.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Bye-bye.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me show with your hosts, Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree. We can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
Trying to get that little light out of your left corner. It's impossible. Can't do it. I've already tried.
Out of my left corner. This side?
My left. Sorry. My military left. Your military right. Up in the top right-hand corner, there's a white blotch, and that's one of your light refracting on the green screen. You can't see that?
Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. No
All
big deal.
right.
But I tried to blend it out. See, watch what happens when I do it. Then the books disappear. I can get it out, but then the books are gone. So we're just gonna go and keep it just like that. It's fine.
All right.
You know what I do? I have some refraction in Olivia's background, and I put up some black cloth and. Okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So to let you know, first of all, Olivia's in the shower, which, you know.
Okay.
Priorities, right? Priorities. And okay, why aren't my goals working? Come on. Is it not open? Hello, computer. Is it not open?
How quaint.
Hold on a second. Figure this out real quick. Hold on. Oh, come on now. No reason for this. Come on. There it is. Open. There we go. Okay, so Livy's in the shower, so she'll be doing tips and such. To let you guys know, we have officially booked the Photo G session with Barry Morgenstein. And if you don't know who Barry Morgenstein is, he is, go to the Twitter page and just click on live. My avatar, it'll say live, click on it. It'll work. But Barry Morgenstein is a world-renowned photographer. He's photographed President Trump, Biden.
Yep.
He has done a whole bunch of military conservative channels. He's done Tucker. He's done Megyn Kelly. He's done Crowder. He's done Benjamin Netanyahu, world leaders, Nigel Farage. Just the guy's done everybody. And we had a good friend of the show recommend and said, hey, you should go get your stuff done. So March 15th, we'll officially be doing it in an undisclosed location, and he's going to be doing a photo session. And what's great, it's the first time we're all together. So it's going to be an amazing situation. We're going to do video of it. Like, we're going to just record it and seeing Leeroy for the first time. Just kind of bring you all into it. And it'll be awesome. So can't wait for you to be a part of it. So when people go, well, you're fundraising. We're not fundraising. We always have a goal for the show, but you can see it right down here. That also helps to get there because, it's not going to be cheap, but it's okay. It's worth it. It's going to help our new podcast cover. It'll help with promo. And it's about time that all of us are on the podcast cover, but we've just never been in the same room together. So now we get to do that, which is awesome. So if you want to donate, help the show, thedumshow.com/donate. That's the easiest way to do it. You can use PayPal. You can use Venmo and also mail. Last thing, we're going to be using this tonight. I hope some of you brought your book, and these have been extremely successful. The Constitution of the United States of America, 144 pages. It's got pictures of the Constitution inside. It's actually the entire edition of the Constitution of the United States with all the amendments. And you also have the biographies of all the framers. It's 100% leather, which is beautiful, which means it's going to last forever. It protects it from water damage and yellowing and turning warped and all that stuff. It's got gold inlay, and these are the same books that are made by the Library of Congress. And the miniature version is right there, which we sell for also in the Documents of Freedom. Leroy's going to hold that up, which is wooden and made by the wonderful company, Percival Flag Company.
Yeah, these really are beautiful. More than anything else, I mean, along with this amazing holder that you get, which is just absolutely, it's engraved and then painted, but they even painted the inside, which is a level of detail that is excellent. And then all three of these books can come with that, and these are just absolutely gorgeous. So yeah.
So not a bad deal. So tonight we're going to be covering some of the things in the Constitution. So if you have another copy of your Constitution, doesn't matter. You don't have to have ours. But if you do want to get ours, you can go to thedumshow.com. People have been hitting me up all day. Matt, listen to the press secretary. You got to apply. They're opening up press passes. Matt, it's not there. On what, Twitter? It's impossible because I was just there and it is there. I'll check again. Here, I'll just do it with you. You go to Twitter, right here, and this says live. Click it. There it is.
That's us.
Wave,
Hey.
Leroy.
Hi, Mom.
We're going to see that in about 5 seconds. Here it comes. See? That's us.
Wave, Leroy.
See? And he even did the voice. So there it is. We're on Twitter. So not sure what's up. We got like 40 people on Twitter, so we're doing okay. Anyway, good to see everybody here. We're really excited about kind of where we're going. We all get to kind of be in the same room together. Leroy has already called dibs on Yenny, wants to cuddle with Yenny. So it's going to be awesome. Esta says, love you guys, Kentucky here. Thanks, Kentucky. Twitter is acting up. I don't know what's going on, folks. It's not me. I'm broadcasting on Twitter, and I'm showing a solid 35 people on 35 people on Twitter. So we're gonna go like we're on. And if we have any problems, folks, you can come on over to Wimkin, you can come over to Facebook, you can go to YouTube, you can go to Rumble. We're on all those channels, and sometimes things happen, and this might be one of those things. So anyway, press secretary has opened it up to all podcasters to be a part of the White House press, and you have to apply, and they want your follower count, which ours is considerable. It's not
right.
It's not, 2 million people, but dare I say it's top 10% on Facebook. So we're going to try, and we'll see what happens. And if that means that what it sounds like is they're not going to sell permanent seats to this. It's not selling. It's bringing in different podcasters. Is that maybe what they say is, hey, in March 22nd, you get to be a part of the White House press briefing. Come on down. It's a one-time, once a year, once a quarter thing. And I'm down. I'm so down because I've got questions. So we're gonna apply, and we would be stupid not to. And that's the way it is. I'm sorry, folks. I got to go over to YouTube and fix it. People are saying that one show is playing and the other one fails. This is what happens.
You know what
when
the great thing? Yeah. While you're fixing that, you know what the great thing about potentially partaking in a White House press secretarial event is that, most of the time when those kick off, right, all they're dealing with is current events. Who better to ask questions of current events of the White House than a former Navy IS intelligence analyst, and somebody who is already, embedded heavily in the idea of current events. I mean, we deal with it all the time, 5 nights a week. He's on half the time during the day. So this would be a fantastic opportunity for everyone. So if you were going to ask an intelligent question to the White House, I mean, it'd be perfect. Yeah.
The interesting thing is I thought about what would be my question. And the thing that I would ask before anything, and just to kind of get it out there, because I think if you're brand new, you're going to ask current events, but I would want to ask this is, being that it's a new administration, my question would be, how are you going to use the filter of individual rights are paramount to a successful republic with a representative democracy, with 3 sovereign documents that are solemn to America and how we move forward and how we're represented in the world, and they speak for us even when maybe we may not communicate all that great. How are you going to ensure that the individual liberties of information is disseminated properly from that podium with a level of honesty and truthfulness? And second, how are you going to replace the trust so when you can't tell us what we need to know, that we trust you enough to carry the ball without looking over your shoulder? That's the question that I would ask, and I would want them to answer. And I don't think anyone has ever had the moxie or the balls or the presence to ask that question of the White House press secretary ever in history.
Well, think about the nature of that question, because after you have posed it, right, the White House secretary is then going to look at it and go, oh my God, what do they want? Like a secret handshake? Do you want a wink, a Fight Club style wink, wink, when we tell you, hey, this is what we're saying, but wink, wink, we don't really mean it, right? To what level of Like what's going to be the tip off there?
Right.
Because not everyone in America are trained lie detectors, human lie detectors. It just doesn't happen. So on the face value of a lot of what we get from the White House, we would have to take that and just kind of, all right, this is what they said. Do I take it as truth? And it's kind of, I don't know.
Right.
Um, but at least this way, if there was an indicator, maybe they should just say, well, we can't answer that one right now. Just be honest. That'd be nice, right?
Well, yeah, and the thing is that if you're a press secretary, you should be begging for that question. You should be begging for that question, and I don't think that question is set up for failure. I think it's set up for success. It's to the point of, hey, good question. Let me tell you, is for the last 4 years, you've had a press secretary who's been dismissive, who has been blatantly disrespectful to a half of the nation. And although we may not agree with the politics of half the nation, that's not American citizens' fault. Because everything they share in common is that some of the citizenry trusts us for certain things and distrusts us for others.
Right.
And that's on both sides of the aisle. And the question is how do you get to a place of maybe not acceptance, but a place of trust that we're giving you all the facts that are pertinent for you to be well informed with accurate information. And that is our responsibility to the American citizenry. It's our job to ensure that the fourth estate is providing that the checks and balances that keep our government running, that keep the cogs moving and well oiled, are also occasionally the monkey wrenches thrown in to create some disrepair, as the fourth estate does ensure that all the branches of government are working as they should. And we have failed in that endeavor. And I'm going to say we because it's not just one administration. I think there's been many people on the podium who have not been as honest with America as they should have. So this is what Donald Trump is doing. And we've already seen that in the first 2 weeks. And here is what it is. So I would like to see that responsibility. So let's get to it. We got a lot to cover tonight. Did you have anything you wanted to share before we dive into the fray?
Just that I not only do I completely agree with you, but I think that, to some degree, the White House secretary would have to, yes, it's a huge opportunity to start earning back some of the trust, because the one thing that the Republicans have always, or should have always had, is a distrust in the government workings, in the distrust in not necessarily that there's a nefarious intent or any sort of malice, but just that people tend to get lost in the red tape, that people tend to get lost in the bureaucracy, whereas the Democrats, they seem to trust the government implicitly, which I think is ill-guided, right? Because even in our founding documents, it doesn't say in the government we trust, it says in God we trust. And that's the whole reason that we have a division of powers. That's the entire reason we have a separate Bill of Rights for individuals. So, yeah, good point.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely spot on. This is Barry Morgenstein's website, and you can see he has done, God, this Ollie North looks like my father every time I see him. Ollie North lives less than a block from me.
No kidding.
So, oh yeah, this lives right over here. So, I mean, I'm not kidding. It's like every time we go to town, every time we go to breakfast, we see him. So I haven't had a chance to, I did have a chance to meet him about a year ago and sit and talk with him, tell him about my father and how, I really need to get him on. And, he's getting old and he's got some time, but I don't want to lose him without having a conversation.
That's not one of those things you want to gamble on, though. You'd rather,
right.
they get it while he's still something, what
yeah,
I mean?
Yeah.
If you delay it too long, you run that risk. That's all I'm saying.
It's there. This is Frank Ozgeist, who you guys might know from 13 Hours, the movie. And I would ask you to hold on because there's some more news coming about Oz that should be here in the next day or two. I can't go into any other details, but he's obviously done the photographs. Hopefully Tonto will follow, but I've got some cool stuff coming with that. But yeah, this guy's done everybody. And those are veterans, but as far as like
Whoa, go
What are you
back down.
talking-
What was that? What
Well,
I see there?
what are you talking about? Where?
Down, down, down.
Oh, her? Oh, he does beauty photo. I don't know.
Ooh,
I don't. Trish Reagan,
I'll
Megan
wear
Kelly,
that.
Tucker Carlson, all the Fox people. What's insane is that the guy's done Benjamin Netanyahu, Donald Trump, done incredible photos of TV personalities, and he really is the guy. The guy Greg Gutfeld, the entire Fox staff. But the ones that he's done of Trump and Netanyahu and world leaders is actually really incredible. So we're excited. We think it's going to be fun, and we're going to do some fun stuff. So we're excited. So let's get to it. Oh,
and to your point, for us to have finally met, because a lot of people just assume that, we must see each other all the time. We see each other daily. We worked with each other. And I would love to be able to say that's true, but the reality is we've never met. And I'm in a completely different state, and I'm in a job where I don't necessarily have, a lot of time to go traveling. And so a lot of people might be shocked to know that. So this will be a really, really great trip.
I don't think a lot of people know. It's just, I look at it this way. It doesn't matter if you guys are simpatico, you know it right away with people. And Leroy and I just had so many things in common that it just kind of happened. But I'm a tough person to be a friend with, and that's just the way. That's the way. And Leroy thinks the same way, so that's why we get along. And when we do, step on each other, like last night, I stepped in it with Amy. You apologize, you own it, and because they're true friends, and you don't care about the show, you care about losing good quality people. I want to show something that happened with Jake Tapper on CNN, and I'm a big fan of Stephen Miller, and he is really kind of the essence behind the mass deportation and getting America safe again, and how we're going to protect our country. And Stephen Miller was very successful in the first administration. And I'm going to say something here, and I shouldn't, because it comes from a source that is not mine, but I'm pretty confident that this is in the circles well known. Tom Homan is a very passionate human being who is somebody who I really, really like. I've never had a chance to meet him. Jason has. But it's my understanding that Tom Homan and Stephen Miller kind of butt heads and are not getting along. And this is, to me, okay if it progresses towards an amicable pathway into working together. But in my opinion, Stephen Miller is kind of the brains, and Tom Homan's the brawn and experience, and together they make a very good team. So we can see that there's been some personality conflicts. Now, Vivek Ramaswamy says he didn't leave Doge and want to become the Ohio governor because of any major conflicts. He was just like, I am more of a constitutionalist, and Elon Musk is more about science and technology, the way he sees things. And we need more of Elon Musk than we need me right now. So I'm going to Ohio. I don't know if I buy that, but I would like to see Stephen Miller take the front reins and run with this. And here's why. Watch this and tell me what you think. Let me change the audio, and then we can get to it. It seems Twitter has a few people on. We got about 30, a little bit light for what we do. Hello to my Rumble people, my Wimkin people. I apologize. I can't monitor Wimkin and Rumble tonight. A lot of people say, hey, why don't you spend time on Wimkin? We do, and Olivia watches it. My mods watch it, but I don't have a program that works with Wimkin and Rumble. So to do that, I've already got about 8 windows up, and I'm already running 3 screens. And I just don't have the ability to watch chat. So unfortunately, that's just the way it is until it integrates. Yeah. So
at some point, you run out of bandwidth, especially when you're dealing with so many independent channels. That's
and I'm pretty good at if you we'll do a behind the scenes sometimes so you guys can see what I'm doing. But I'm constantly working for sound and tweaking and peaking, and then I'm running all the whole behind the scenes. I wish I had a guy that would do it, but unfortunately, we're too poor. Donations will be coming in a minute. Olivia's looking at it. Let's watch this real quick.
And then Trump got elected. according to President Trump in an interview, I think it was with Kristen Welker of NBC, was because of grocery prices. Not the only reason, but a reason, high prices, inflation, especially at the grocery. The Department of Agriculture says that between 2020 and 2022, 42% of crop workers were undocumented immigrants. And in many cases, as you know, these migrants do jobs many Americans do not want to do. So how does President Trump make sure that the effort...
It always amazes me how Democrats go back to mama, and go back to cheap slave labor is what they want. It's what they're saying. They're saying cheap slave labor is more important than human rights. And this has been their entire premise since the dawn of their existence. Is the entire Civil War. They even tried to go ahead and make it that the Civil War was fought over free labor and paid labor. That was the Daughters of the Confederacy that tried to re-envision what happened in the Civil War. But really what it was truly was paid labor versus slave labor. And
exactly.
It always amazes me how they go back home to roost. But here's the rest.
To deport people who are not in this country legally doesn't end up hurting Americans who want safe borders, absolutely, but also don't want to see even more higher prices in groceries.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's not your position, Jake. You're just asking the question that we should supply America's food with exploitative illegal alien labor. I obviously don't think that's what you're implying. Only 1% of alien workers in the entire country work in agriculture. The top destination for illegal aliens are large cities like New York, like Los Angeles, and small industrial towns, of course, all across the heartland, as we've seen with the Biden floods. None of those illegal aliens are doing farm work. Those 30,000 illegal aliens that Joe Biden dumped into Springfield.
I'm talking about the ones that are.
But I'm explaining this. It's important to understand.
Right. No, you're kind of changing the subject. I mean,
no, he's not.
I will give me 30 minutes. I'll go as deep as you want on this. We don't have you and your audience.
Well, then shut up.
I'm talking about the ones that could
see.
I'm talking about the ones, Matt. I'm talking about this specific group, Matt. I'm talking about the ones that I can use in my narrative that helps me look like a good guy, Matt.
Right. How many of those are criminals? Then we only care about that 1% that are actual criminals, because we're not deporting people who aren't criminals. We'll get to that. And we might use I-9. We might use Verify. We might go ahead and deport and have them come back on work visas. But those people are not who we're talking about. And what you want to do is you want to go ahead and talk about Bravo, Charlie, and Echo, and we're not doing it. Happy whatever day it is. It's Leroy's here, so it's Tuesday.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby. We appreciate it very much. So anyway, we'll listen to the rest real quick.
That work in the agriculture industry.
I'm
you can come back and we can talk about the ones in the cities, I swear.
I'll do the whole answer. The illegal aliens that Joe Biden brought into our country are not full stop doing farm work. They are not. The illegal aliens he brought in from Venezuela, from Haiti, from Nicaragua, they are not doing farm work. They're in our cities collecting welfare. As for the farmers, there is a guest worker program that President Trump supports. Over time as well, we will transition into automation, so we'll never have to have this conversation ever again. But there's no universe in which this nation is going to allow the previous president to flood our nation with millions and millions of illegal aliens who just get to stay here. And we are especially not going to allow a subset of those illegal aliens to rape and murder our citizens. So we are going to unapologetically enforce our immigration laws. And as I'm sure you will celebrate, we are going to unleash the power and might of the U.S. government to eradicate the presence of transnational threats on our soil.
So
look at the look in his eyes. He was like,
oh, yeah. He doesn't fuck around. That's a guy I would listen to. Go ahead, Leroy. Yeah. You take this. You take this one. What are your thoughts?
Well, I would say that CNN has done a lot over the last 8 years, 12 years to certainly paint things in a very specific light. And what they've always done is they've taken those hot button issues. They've taken when we say, oh, well, such and such is Elon Musk is responsible for the higher prices, or Trump is responsible for the higher prices. They want to address the idea of inflation and whose shoulders that falls on. They've done the same thing with illegals. They've done the same thing with fentanyl. It's a never-ending list. And each and every time, they bring on an opposing point of view, they always pitch that question in a very specific way, just so long as that optic gets shifted enough to support their narrative.
Right.
Because once it doesn't, then you fall into situations like this where Stephen Miller just lays it out for him and just steamrolls him. I actually, and I don't know if you were tracking, I'm sure you were, Matt, because you're normally way further up on this than I am. But this is probably why Jim Acosta just announced that he's leaving CNN.
Yeah, that's next.
The ratings have been in the tank. And I think this type of tactic, this type of misinformation campaign that CNN loves to put out, I think because it's failing and so many Americans have tuned away from CNN and started getting their news from places like us, we hope, that they've just been, unable to, they're trying to look for a fix.
It's interesting. We are going to talk about Acosta tonight. It's funny you said that because he is on the third block. But the interesting point about this whole craziness about CNN is that they were going to take Acosta and put him back in the White House press corps. And the reason why is that they want an attack dog on Trump and the press secretary like Peter Doocy. And he doesn't want to do that. He's got his own show, and it's one of the most successful hours. So Acosta goes, you know what? Screw it. I'm leaving. And good for Acosta. I don't like Jim Acosta. I think Jim Acosta's
I don't either.
He's a jerk. But I do like the fact that CNN is losing its ability. Folks, legacy media is dead.
Yeah.
And legacy media is not CNN and MSNBC. Legacy media is ABC, CBS. That version of news is toast. Nobody watches that crap anymore. And now cable, because cable is so atrociously expensive, but over the top is becoming atrociously expensive as well, which is Netflix, Amazon, Prime, Hulu, all those. So now what you have is that with all of the a la carte programming, cable is actually cheaper. The problem with that is that Comcast and companies that provide Time Warner, et cetera, and satellite companies have dropped most of their channels and are now in a compete to give you the things that they can't afford, which is sports are killing cable. Killing it. Now, I used to purchase $2.1 billion of cable programming for Comcast. And although it wasn't my only responsibility, I was sales and marketing, is that we picked up the Astros, we picked up the Houston Dynamo, we picked up the Houston Texans, and everything else for Xfinity. And right before I got there, 2017 and 2016, they let a contract expire with Houston. And I said, when I came on, I said, I don't care what we have to do, we have to get this back. And I said, I don't know if you guys are paying attention, but the pitching staff, Lance McCullers, thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
Love you guys. Keep it up. You got it, Frankie. Thanks, buddy. So Lance McCullers Jr., George Springer, Altuve, Carrera. I mean, all these guys. I mean, I'm like, this is a World Series team. We got to get in and get there because AT&T is going to come in and sick them, and they did. But the issue with that is then to put on the Houston Astros once they got their World Series ring is prices went up 30, 40%. Who do you think pays for that? It's not Comcast. It's you. And this, at this point in the peak in 2017, it went up to $329 a month for the top tier packaging for TV. This is why Netflix, Hulu was so special. But now you look at the NHL. The NHL is on ESPN. It's on Hulu. It's sometimes on Apple TV. It's on regular channels. It's on local. And you're like, how do I watch the gosh darn stuff? So
right.
Sports are killing legacy media as well, besides the fact that they're a bunch of liars. So there's really just not enough money in it anymore. Going back to this, and I'm going to button this up. This keeps happening because what's shifting, especially with this administration, is what you're saying is you want free or slave labor. And saying, well, who's going to work these jobs? Americans? Well, no, Americans aren't going to work as a dishwasher. Americans aren't going to work as a fruit picker because you're paying these people $6.75 an hour. But once you go ahead and stop the illegal immigrants, they are going to have to pay these people minimum wage. And once they pay them minimum wage, you're going to start having a competitive market where some farmers are going to make more yield and more margin, and they're going to increase it. Then you will see free market work. Just like every other industry in the United States is, once the free market works, these jobs, would I go pick strawberries for $20 an hour? Yeah, when I was 18, I would, for sure. Because you have a different situation and you change the free market based upon the demand. And once you remove illegal demand, then legal is what you have to do, and you have to pay these people a wage that's at least federally mandated. It's not that hard. It's not that difficult. But this is what liberals want to say. Hey, you take away the illegals, our fruit doesn't get picked. Your lawns don't get mowed. Well, guess what? As an American citizen, you are complicit in hiring an illegal. And if you know that, that's aiding and abetting and harboring. I think we should start taking it to these companies who hire illegals in these small, and start raiding them and fining them and shutting them down, including civilians.
You know, that's a really strong point. I would be curious to know exactly how many competitors there are out there in the potato industry or in the strawberries or oranges, right? And if there's one grove, or if there's one, whatever you want to call it, farm that is abusing the idea of, or leveraging the idea of immigrant labor as opposed to paying Americans some sort of fair wage in order to keep their prices low to stay competitive, I think that affects everyone, right? Because then the guy down the block, he's not going to be able to compete. He's going to say, well, I'm using American workers, right? And I have to pay them $12 an hour or $15 an hour in order to get my fruit picked.
Right.
At some point, if we were to get rid of all of that, and the prices are going to land where they are, and unfortunately, whoever the president is at that point, that's a person that's going to wear a lot of the blame. But it's a double-edged sword. You either fight for the idea of higher prices, and we're just going to own it because Americans are doing that work, or what? Like, you're just going to have to accept all of this idea of illegal cotton field workers, really.
Well, just because
just
it's
call it what
easy.
it is.
Yeah,
just call it what it is. It's slave labor.
It really is. I mean, if you're okay with people making $6 an hour to go in the field and pick fruit or work on a roof or whatever, then we have a false sense of security when it comes to certain things like construction and landscaping and food service, because it means that the cost is prohibitive based upon illegals doing criminal activity. So why don't we get rid of that and find out the real cost of agriculture, so we can figure out whether farming is truly something that is profitable for people? Why don't we start working towards these things? Why don't we incentivize farmers instead of giving them free subsidies? How about we say this? If your farm and your 1,000 of workers that are on your farm are all American residents, we'll go ahead and reduce your taxes by 50%.
That would be amazing to me. Yeah,
that's a wonderful thing. Incentivize following the law. Incentivize doing the right thing. And trust me when I say this, is farmers can use that break. If farmers could reduce their tax or increase their yield without penalty and still find a way to purchase it, that is a subsidy that is worthwhile, because it's the government investing in the small business. That never hurts America. What hurts is when government regulates small business, and ultimately that hurts 96% of the overall businesses out there, which ultimately stops demand. It drives prices up, and it's not good for business. We've seen this under Biden. We saw it under Obama. So I know that there are a lot of... Thank you so much, Thomas Austin.
Thomas.
Without a message. Thomas, you need to put a message in there, buddy.
Dude, you rock.
I love these people. They're so amazing. It's hard for me. It's not that I'm not excited. I see $51.99 and I'm like, oh my God, that's ridiculous, right? But they're just always so giving. It doesn't matter. I don't need to say it. Everybody like, oh, you beg for money. No, I don't. We mention it at the first of the show and tell people how. We even say, if it's your first time watcher, maybe it's not, your time to donate, maybe just watch the show. But if you continually watch the show and you pay $30 for Netflix, why not, this is 40 hours a month you watch this show. That's a lot. So we don't have to. Occasionally at 8:30, we might mention it again, but we try not to. All right. Here is what I want to dive deep into. This goes down to birthright citizenship. And this is like the big Democrat talking point, is that the United States government, no matter what happens, if you're born in the United States, you're a citizen of this country. That is true, except for three things. If you are a foreign national and you are here at an embassy, or you are here on your soil, which embassies are not sovereign soil, that doesn't count. If you are an enemy combatant, that doesn't count. And if you are on a secondary style exemption to be in here, like a visa or a green card, and you have parameters that limit your overall citizenship or the ability to be covered by the Constitution of the United States, and you have declared that and signed that as a provision, any other time, you are an American citizen if you're born in the U.S. Now, here's the thing, though. This is what liberals don't understand. So we're going to walk through it together. Leeroy, assist where you need to, chime in where you need to. I want to make sure I give you your due course. All right, so let's talk about this. Taking some notes because, as you know, I want to give you the right information as always. I never want to give you the wrong stuff. So birthright citizenship in the United States, it's in the 14th Amendment. And it's specifically, if you have your book with you, only available to donate from me. You can also get the other Constitution book. It's in the 14th Amendment, specifically in the Citizenship Clause. Okay? And this is what it says. All persons born or naturalized in the United States, comma, which is a pause, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. There is the hidden line. The preemptive clause stating that this is under the discretion and jurisdiction and all henceforth laws in the United States of America. And the reason why they added this is because even though the founding fathers knew what the laws were going to be because they were writing the Constitution, they knew that you could amend the Constitution and add new laws. That's why they added this clause that says subject to the jurisdiction thereof. That's why it's in the 14th Amendment. Are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Okay? So that's great. Now, it's interpreted to mean that anyone born on U.S. soil, regardless of the citizenship status of their parents, is automatically granted U.S. citizenship as long as they are subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. This interpretation was solidified in 1898 Supreme Court, United States versus Wong Kim Ark, which upheld the principle of jus soli, right of the soil for determining its citizenship. We've talked about this on the show before. So, jus soli is Latin for essentially soil. And here is the breakdown. Within the 14th Amendment, the phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof and the interpretation is exemption to the people that I mentioned, children of foreign diplomats, children of enemy combatants. Oh, and then also Native Americans is an example, like Native Americans on sovereign tribal lands. This is an exclusion. So even though here it is completely, there's a sovereignty that's attached to that. It even comes down to the Amish also are an exemption. So there are provisions and exemptions herein too, okay? But for everyone else born on U.S. soil, including children of undocumented immigrants, or what we call and should only call illegals, the court held that they are subject to the U.S. jurisdiction because they are required to obey U.S. laws. Now listen, they are required to obey U.S. laws and can be held accountable under those laws. The jurisdiction does not mean political allegiance or the citizenship of the parents. Instead, it refers to the practical authority of the U.S. government has over an individual, such as enforcing laws or requiring taxes. This broad interpretation has been the legal standard since Wong Kim Ark. Now, the last thing is I'm going to give you why birthright citizenship is unconstitutional, because it even says so in the 14th. But of course, as they ignore the Second Amendment and what it actually states, and they say it's for a well-regulated militia, that comma changes everything in the right to bear arms. It also changes in birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment. And this is why liberals do what they always do and say, the comma's not there, blah, 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 it's a period. No. And this is why the Supreme Court shoots them down. Here it is. Criminals, whether they are U.S. citizens, legal residents, or undocumented immigrants, illegals, are still subject to the jurisdiction of the United States under the law. This means they are required to obey U.S. laws and are held accountable for violations, which includes being prosecuted, convicted, and punished within the legal system. In the context of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment, even if someone is born to a non-citizen parent who are in the U.S. unlawfully, the child is still considered subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. They like to say, oh, well, it just means they're a citizen. But there's more to it. Yes, they are a citizen, and they are applicable to our laws.
Right.
More importantly, it doesn't make them, hold on, real quick. It doesn't make them exempt to the laws. This is because the parents, despite their immigration status, are not immune to U.S. laws and can be arrested, prosecuted, or deported if they commit crimes. Thereunto, it also applies to the children. This is probably one of the most important things in birthright citizenship that the left is ignoring. And this is why this is not a Nazi movement. Nobody claimed Obama and Biden, who deported over 2.9 million illegals, were Nazis, and Donald Trump is not a Nazi. Leroy, go ahead.
Well, this is one of those amendments that I can recall all the way back to grade school where this was discussed. Hey, if you're born here, you're automatically a citizen. And I think when you really start to delve into the text of it, I think there's a lot more room for interpretation in here. And that's simply what Trump is doing. Now, whether or not I believe this is a politically sound movement or not, because my personal opinion is I think this is kind of a silly thing to pursue. That's me personally. We've acted this way for 120 plus years to say, look, if you're born here, you're automatically a citizen. With that, though, there are problems.
Can I time it, Leroy?
When someone says,
Leroy, I have to address this.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm so very sorry to interrupt. Lisa Nelson Jacobson says the following. I'm glad you have financial support. This is my first time live, and I guess I'll have to unfollow. I don't want to steal your wisdom. Well, first of all, Lisa, you can't steal my wisdom, because the only thing that can do that is Alzheimer's or a bullet, and neither of those things you're going to do to me. So you're going to be okay. I've never paid for TV. I don't have internet. Okay. I enjoy good conversations as someone stuck in bed, and after my first fruits to my community, I just don't buy stimulation. I sure enjoyed you guys, though, and again, nothing wrong with raising money. You're right. There is nothing wrong, and you never have to pay for the show. I have people who've watched this show for 4 years who's never donated to the show, never bought anything from the show, and we wouldn't have it any other way. This show is completely free. We never push our people to donate. We tell them to give when it feels good, not when it hurts, because when it hurts, that's antithetical to what we're trying to do. So we hope that you don't leave. We hope you enjoy. And if you never give me a penny, I couldn't care less. I couldn't care less. I don't care if you give us money. So stay and watch the show. Go ahead, buddy.
Wisdom is one of those things that can only be conveyed if someone is willing to accept it. All right, so
go finish up.
Moving on. So, but there's a lot of room within the amendment where there's some interpretation that can come about, right? So, something that was said in that, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, which means under the legal authority of that place. So when we start talking about the legal authority of the United States or the legal authority of a given state, right? You have two people that are potentially here illegally. They have a baby. The baby may certainly be granted citizenship, sure. But what about those two people? You're still subject under the legal authority of that place. And so there's a lot of interpretation that could come into play here. There's a lot of different legal angles that need to be examined. Thank you, Matt. And I can't help but wonder, effing streaming services.
Fuck streaming services. I've got the dumb show. Thanks,
That's
Maddie.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. But that also calls into question, like, all right, so what happens if we did decide to go after the parents legally, right? If they were to somehow, I don't know, it says right in the amendment that they're not supposed to be deported, but I mean, is that really what's happening? If you were to deport them, then where would the Democrats land on the side of keeping the family together or not? Because again, there's a lot of open interpretation in there. Do we not enforce that portion of the law and let everyone stay together, even though they've broken the law, or do we keep the family together, go to the fullest extent of the law, send them packing? See, you see what I mean? So there's a lot of gray areas that need to be examined.
Let me ask you a question. How do you base somebody who breaks the law? How do we interpret that? How do we apply the justice that is predetermined based on precedent when someone breaks the law? What is the number one filter we use? The number one thing.
I think you just said it's precedence, right? So is that where you're headed? Like
before that,
first of all,
even before that,
I'm not sure.
Before we even get before we get to precedent, before we get to charges, before we get to anything, we have the presumption of what?
Innocence.
And that's afforded to everybody, right?
Right.
And with that presumption of innocence, the only way to remove that presumption is to prove that somebody is guilty of a crime.
A crime.
Correct?
Right.
So when we say someone has entered our country illegally, and we know this because they don't have documentation, they haven't went through the process, they don't have a visa, they don't have a green card, they have no legal reason to be in the United States, then they have been proven guilty of a crime. And when you're guilty of a crime, what happens?
There are supposed to be consequences.
And if there are, then those consequences, if we had a person who was over in Russia or Iran or Egypt who was an American citizen who had no passport, no visa, what would happen to that person?
They would be sent back.
They'd be put in prison. So it comes down to this. The United States is enforcing its laws. And who are you to say that a person who is under those laws should not be treated exactly the same as everyone else in every other country? We are simply following not just federal law, but international law, to be really honest. Because those countries deport regularly or they put those people in prison. So we're just doing our jobs. And individual rights are considered. And just because they're illegal doesn't mean they're not treated under the purview of the U.S. Constitution. But this is the problem, is that they go birthright citizenship and they go, blah, 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 blah. Wait a second. There's another portion to this that you're not reading. And actually them becoming a U.S. citizen is a bad thing. This is why, is because then they're subject to our laws. The only time when you walk onto U.S. soil that you are guaranteed is the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's all human beings, no matter where you're from. Those rights are endowed by our Creator, our God, and the Constitution of the United States. So everybody gets those, but not everybody gets U.S. rights. I told you the people who are excluded.
Right.
So by us making them to be under the purview of the Constitution, it doesn't behoove them to have that done, because then they are susceptible to our laws. It would be better for them if they just came into our country illegally and then went, oh, well, slap me on the wrist. What are you going to do? I'm not a U.S. citizen. You can't do anything to me. I'm going to call my embassy and I'm going to go ahead and go back over the border and I'm going to come back and do it again. But we don't. So The point is this, is that the law that they're hiding behind is actually the one that sends them back. Be very clear on the Constitution of the United States, and liberals will try to go ahead and muck joy all over the words, but their comprehension only aligns with their narrative, and it never covers everything. Leroy, we're going to watch a video before. Oh, I'm going to, can you, no, you go and then I'll watch the video.
Well, and I was just thinking, in every other country in the world, literally every other country, if you wanted to apply to become a Canadian citizen, if you wanted to apply to become a citizen of Netherlands or France or wherever the hell, right? During that application process, you have to prove how you are going to be beneficial within that country. I can't just go to Canada and say, hey, I want to become a citizen. They're going to say, well, what are your what do you do? What is your area of focus with regard to work? What is your education level? Right? There are qualifiers. And it seems like a lot of people just want to say that, God, could you imagine, two parents, I'm sorry, this is just how the visuals in my brain work.
Yeah.
Some poor Mexican couple who's trying to have their baby become a U.S. citizen, and they can't get over the fence. And so they literally pop it over right at the vagina, umbilical cord over the wall. Does that automatically make that baby a citizen? Right. And I think that's the difference, because we're talking about, like, to what degree of the law are you going to maintain that?
Can I give you an example before we watch the video? Do you remember in Afghanistan at Kabul airport?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when they had Muslims and NGOs were handing over their children to the U.S. soldiers.
Yes. Yeah,
the moment that those U.S. soldiers handled those children, they were American citizens. It's on U.S. soil. So the moment that you had the United States at Kabul airport in a humanitarian effort, that is U.S. soil. And until we exfil and wheels up, we legally have to take a child. If they're over the age of 18, we do not. This is why people went into the wheel wells and tires. This is why a lot of flights, Leroy knows this too, he's been in country where there are people who are NGOs, or there are people who want us to take their children. They want to get on our choppers. They want us to take them with them. I know people in Hong Kong, when we pulled security, and STF left Hong Kong for the communist takeover that we supplied support and security for, an OPSEC. There were Hong Kong residents who were trying to come on our ships and were trying to take taxis onto our vessels in order to come back with us. That's why we were told, do not touch any children, do not touch anyone of underage, keep your hands off, do not accept any children, because the moment you touch that child, you are responsible. So in Afghanistan, these people were going to drop them off the walls, and the Marines did the right thing, but those are now U.S. citizens. A question came up real quick. It says, question, if a family is deported with a U.S. citizen child and the child goes with them, does the government pay some allowance to support the U.S. citizen child? No, and absolutely. Now, there are certain, when you say U.S. government, no. But certain states will. California does that. There's other states that will give money, but the federal government does not give any types of subsidy or welfare or any type of food support or travel support or cell phones or anything else. Federal government does not do that. If they are brought into the country under a port of entry or asylum, or they have a court date for citizenship, completely different. But if we're deporting them, we don't give them anything, and we shouldn't. No, we should feed them. We should make sure they're clothed for the environment we're about to put them in. We should make sure that they have 3 hots and a cot. But no, and we're not required to, and we don't. There's an interesting conversation. Let's listen to this video. It's going to help us expand the conversation a little bit. This one is. This is really
disagreement with the legal opinion of this administration.
This is the new White House press secretary. I guess somebody thought that I said Peter Doocy is. No, Peter Doocy was press correspondent in the White House and was senior man for Fox News. This is not that. Jim Acosta would take over as senior correspondent, and he didn't want to, so he resigned. We'll talk about him in a second. Here, just listen to this amazing exchange here.
The folks that you mentioned have a right to have that legal opinion, but it is in disagreement with the legal opinion of this administration. This administration believes that birthright citizenship is unconstitutional, and that.
So that officially is why that was said. And I wanted to make sure that that was clear, because that's a very controversial statement that a lot of people disagree with, but that's because they don't understand the Constitution of the United States. Leroy, did you want to add anything else to this?
No. You know what? Yes. Let me backtrack for a second, because I just wanted to reiterate my point that I understand the argument for it and against it. I just think that it's kind of a silly political thing to go after, right? I think we have bigger things that we should be worried about for the moment, other than this. And I understand again why he's doing it. I don't know. I see this as something that is easily reversible the moment Trump walks out of office.
But not if you get the Supreme Court to rule on it, and that's how you do it. Yeah, you make an executive order, then you force the Supreme Court to address it, and the Supreme Court will have to go ahead and interpret it as it is unconstitutional because it's antithetical to the laws. So that's why you do that. Second, you've got go ahead and mute your phone, please. You've got 2.7 million DACA recipients that are sitting inside the United States right now, which make up essentially 10 to 12%. And not only that, but you also have chain migration that takes place from this. And so it is a constant process. We are going to have to address non-U.S. citizens inside the U.S. And I'm fine. You want to go ahead and just make those DACA recipients American citizens? Fine. Have a Republican do that, get their votes, and you will, because the funny thing is naturalized citizens vote Republican. We saw that in this election too. And they're coming home to roost like to Reagan. But what you can't do is continue chain migration. You can't keep doing birthright citizenship where people go ahead and smuggle their children or smuggle pregnant women in. They have a kid, and then we can't deport them because they're parents. Now you've turned one into three. We've got to find a way to address all these things. We need to walk and chew gum at the same time. This is a multifaceted problem without a Band-Aid solution. You cannot solve this with kissing the boo-boo and putting on a Band-Aid. Caller, where are you from? What do you want to talk about?
Fort Bragg.
Okay.
Matthew.
Yeah.
It's not Joseph.
I understand. Talk. What do you want to talk about, man?
How you doing, buddy?
Why do you want to talk about Bragg?
No, I don't. It's just where I live. Matthew, it's Frank. I'm sorry.
I know it's Frank. I know it's Frank. What's up, buddy? You don't have to tell me it's not Joseph. I know it. I'm not the one that called you Joseph. It was Leroy. Leroy did it.
I fell for that. I absolutely fell for that. Hook, line, and sinker.
Leroy doesn't love you.
I got to tell you, Caroline Leavitt, besides being a total smoke show, there's one thing I have not heard anybody mention thus so far, and that's the fact that the cross around her neck was so predominant. And it made me think of one thing. It made me think of the good versus the evil. The evil that we've had to put up with for the last 4 years, and that cross represents the good that we are about to step into. And it's just a point I wanted to make. Don't know if anybody noticed it or not, but it was something that just stuck out to me like a sore thumb.
Yeah, quickly, I want to answer Mel's question. Somebody asked in regards to Bongino's take. You know what? I don't even listen to Bongino anymore because Bongino and I agree on 90%. So I'm sure his take is what I just said. Mel Lowe says, was DACA determined as unconstitutional? No. A federal district judge in Texas said that. But in 2020, they said terminating DACA was unconstitutional. So Supreme Court needs to justify it. But ultimately, those people are in the United States. They fell under the purview before the Supreme Court heard it. You're going to have to accept those people. And I don't have a problem with that. Those people, some of them lived here 20, 30 years. Who cares? Just make them U.S. citizens, take care of it, fix it, and then let's cut bait, right? I'm with Leroy. But all future birthright citizenship needs to stop, period. You being born in the United States, you are applicable to our laws, but you are illegal. You have broken the law. So therefore, we're not going to reward you for breaking the law. Frank, What are your thoughts on this? Besides that, I agree with you. I love the cross. I love her passion. I love her answer. I love how she does not screw around with the media. What's your thought on birthright citizenship and all that?
Well, I agree with all the things that you said. If I don't believe that just because you're born here entitles you to become a citizen. There are a lot of things to take into consideration, the parents, so on and so forth. But I don't know. I think we've let this get so far to the other side that I think. Look, whoever said that we need to put a moratorium on people coming into the country, I totally agree with that. Enough is enough. We've totally blown it. The Biden regime has totally blown it. We've let too many people into this country. We can't keep track of them. I agree. I love Holman and the way he's going about doing this, and how, what's amazing to me is how the press keeps trying to trap this guy, and he just comes back and blasts them. He tells them, hey, This is the way it is. If you don't like it, get the fuck out.
Right.
Well,
that's what Trump hired. Remember what I said? I said Trump is hiring people who are alpha, who are not going to take any shit. And that's what he hired. He hired litigators. He hired great orators and people who could debate. And, Pete Hegseth is one of those people. Pam Bondi's one of those people. Hell, RFK is one of those people. So's Vivek. So's Elon. These people don't take any shit. And this is the thing. This is how you turn the media. And I was going to say, Jake Tapper, these guys are sick. Piers Morgan, Jake Tapper, even The View, they're tired. I mean, I'll show you what Fetterman did to The View today. It's ridiculous. They're getting sick and tired of this because they're getting owned. This is what I was trying to say. Legacy media is dead unless they change their tune and bring on guests that they actually want to listen to. Like, this is why I've been trying to get Kat Kamek and people on this show, is because I want to listen to what you have to say. I'll challenge you if I disagree, but it's not my place to sit here and try to make you look stupid. You can do that by yourself by not being able to answer the questions that I'm going to ask. But legacy media is toast, and it's so aggressive. It's so standoffish. It's just a bunch of pontification and supposition and derision. I don't want that. I want people to have a conversation so I can learn something. Yes.
It's very fomenting. They love to whip a crowd into a frenzy. And I really, to your point, Matt, I really like the idea of, look, if we're really going to make effective change, or if we're really going to learn about a particular topic, it has to be done in a non-inflammatory way. We need to have a conversation where there's no juxtaposing. There's no, oh, well, I'm asserting myself here as correct, and I'm asserting that you're an idiot. There can't be any of that if it's going to be real. You can't have real conversations like that. That's just something that happens over the internet, over Facebook, over Twitter, right? Because people are separated by some distance and anonymity. Like, if I knew my neighbor, if my neighbor said that to me and just every day, you're an idiot, eventually that dude is going to come up losing some teeth, right?
Right.
And so,
yes.
And so I think we need to be the bigger people at some point and start having conversations, to your point.
Real quick, Frank,
may I make
Mel,
a point?
Yeah, you can. Let me read this off because these comments disappear very fast. Mel says, shouldn't DACA be restricted citizenship to just the individual, no chain migration, parents prosecuted as illegal? Yes, but here's my thing. If you're DACA and you're a small child, we accept that, make that an American citizen, and find a foster family, find a relative, whatever. But if you're an adult and you're DACA, you have to have a stable residence. You have to have reliable transportation to work. You have to speak English. You have to be of legal mind, body, sound mind, body and mind. And if you don't pass those things, you're gone. We're not a charity case. Right. If you don't have a legal residence, get the fuck out of here. Go home. If you've been here 20 years and you have not done something with your life, we don't want you. I'm sorry. It's time to get picky. It's time to get selective. And we only take the very best. That's it. If that country wants to do that and really want to do that, if they want to be that stupid and give us their best and brightest, so they always stay a third world country or always stay in poverty, fine, we'll take them. That's like the New York Yankees. People just giving the top draft pick to the Yankees. They go, here you go. Say, hey, thanks. You can't develop them? No? Okay, fine. We'll take them. You're never going to win a World Series. You're never going to be able to compete with New York because our payroll, but whatever. We'll take them. You want to give them to us? That is what we should do. Frank, ask your question, and then I got to move to drones because I am going to show you that the Donut Friendly Show was the only show who was telling you the truth, and you're about to find it. And we're going to get it confirmed. Leroy, go ahead. Our Frank, go ahead.
Frank.
And you absolutely were. I followed everything you said about the drones. I had total faith in you. I knew that if Matthew said this, it's got to be right. He does his research. He knows what he's talking about. But that being said, the left, look, the press is going to slowly, and I think you're going to see this. I could be wrong, but you're going to see the press slowly rolling over to Trump. But that being said, and Zuckerberg did the same thing. He's down there trying to suck his dick, whatever. Even though they come over, let's just say they go totally right or just agree with everything that Trump is doing, are you going to believe them?
No.
Based on everything you know that they've done in the past, are you going to believe anything that they say?
My belief isn't required for the truth. My belief is not necessary for the truth. If it's the truth, then my acceptance, belief, or endorsement is unnecessary. See what I'm saying? It's not important to the conversation. As long as they are presenting the truth, I don't care. The moment that they start lying and not presenting truth is when I'm getting involved. And as a citizen, I am not going to allow our government or the Fourth Estate to lie to me. That's it.
Well, I think that's where this new press secretary is going to hold their feet to the fire.
You're damn right she is.
Today. Yes. And man, I am so proud of her. Yep. I think this is what we've needed. We didn't need that little Cabbage Patch doll that we've had for the past 3 years, spewing bullshit and reading from her binder. Did you notice, by the way, that she had nothing in front of her? She had a few pieces of paper, and that was it, because they did a behind camera shot. She didn't have any. She was speaking off the cuff. She was answering questions.
Yeah,
she was nailing these guys. I loved it.
It's almost like she could be on the Donut Friendly Show. But here's the thing. Kaylee McInerney was the same way, but she had a binder and she crushed it. I don't mind a binder. I don't mind facts. It shows preparedness. It shows organization. And some of the best waiters I knew had to write everything down. I didn't. I would remember a 32 top and remember every meal, every drink, every appetizer, every position, and every modification. That's just the way I was. But there's nothing wrong with a binder. But the problem is that when you allow the binder to do the speaking for you and you don't know the material which is within, that's the problem.
Right.
That was my point exactly. She didn't know the material. She had to have things to refer to, and I'm talking about Cabbage Patch.
Yep.
She had no way of knowing how to off the cuff. What this gal did today was absolutely perfect. I loved it, man.
She's good. She's amazing.
I'm so excited about this new.
Good. Now just put her on mute. So, that's no. She's a good looking woman, but no. Let's keep the Jergens away from the sofa is what I'm trying to say. Okay, keep it. All right, I got to go, Frank. See ya. Bye.
All right, love you guys.
All right, love you too, buddy. Bye. See ya. All right, so here's a video you got to see. I'm not going to play all 12 minutes. I want you to listen to the beginning. This is about tooting your horn. A long time ago, when I got out of the military, I went into the retail world, and I was, you're egotistical, you're cocky. It ain't bragging if it's true. Okay? It ain't bragging if it's true. And there is a difference between confidence and being egotistical. And I ride that line very fine. But this is important to me because we covered this a lot, and it's nice to have some conversation. Donald Trump promised that he would talk about it.
An update
promised
on the New
that
Jersey.
he would bring you the New Jersey Jones. Drones, open your ears, listen, and as I am going to allow the waters of Lake Minnetonka to cleanse my soul as I bathe in the waters of being right. Here it is.
Drones. After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized to be flown by the FAA for research and various other reasons. Many of these drones were also hobbyists, recreational, and private individuals that enjoy flying drones. In time, it got worse due to curiosity. This was not the enemy. A statement from the President of the United States to start this briefing with some news.
What can you say? What can you say? We got it right.
You can donate at thedumshow.com/donate. We took a lot of shit for the drones thing. We took a ton of shit. Livia even made a funny video about it.
How many people said it was China? How many people said it was Ukraine or some other country or aliens, alien technology? You know, I have my own, some people in my own family were like, oh, it's aliens. I'm like, yeah, that seems bizarre, wildly bizarre that they would use the same lighting pattern, red and green. That's amazing to me. You know, once you've been doing this stuff a while, folks, you understand the nature of the beast and how public perception will really drive a narrative. It really can. It could take on a life of its own, and it did there.
Listen, everyone's talking about adoption, and I didn't say that the only solution was foster care. My point is we need to revamp the foster care system. We need to ensure that adoption is a lot easier with 3 very simple things that we make sure that these people are not pedophiles, these people are not chronic abusers, and it's altruistic that they're not doing it for the money. You prove those 3 things, the rest will pretty much figure out. But anyway, listen, the drones, I'm not going to go into it anymore, but what I am going to show you is I promised to show you this lovely lady. She is a buzzsaw, as Damani puts it.
A question about, because one of the reasons,
and I want you to listen to her response.
With him in a while. I need to.
Well, he's amazing. He was on the show the other night. He comes on. We need to have you all on. Here is this amazing reply. Listen to this.
This White House believes strongly in the First Amendment, so it's why our team will work diligently to restore the press passes of the 440 journalists whose passes were wrongly revoked by the previous administration. We're also opening up this briefing room to new media voices who produce news-related content and whose outlet is not already represented by one of the seats in this room. We welcome independent journalists, podcasters, social media influencers, and content creators to apply for credentials to cover this White House. And you can apply now on our new website, whitehouse.gov/newmedia. Starting today, this seat in the front of the room, which is usually occupied by the press secretary's staff, will be called the new media seat. My team will review the applications and give credentials to new media applicants who meet our criteria and pass United States Secret Service requirements to enter the White House complex. So in light of these...
That should be pretty easy to get. You got it on file, sweetie. Just go back a few years. My name is still in some of the halls.
Anybody still in DIS? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few people who still know my name. So anyway, to go into the next segment, we will do that right after this message. Folks, 156.48. We are raising obviously money just to keep the show going and keep it moving forward, but also being that it is the 8:30 hour, and I always talk about it when we haven't hit it yet. I got to do it. thedumshow.com/donate. Would love to try to overdrive as we have been. This helps. We've got a lot of things coming up in the future, and we need your help, and we'll be right back.
The DUM store is veteran-owned with a 5-star diamond rating for service and satisfaction. We offer quality products like coffee, shirts, hoodies, and hats, all made by veterans. Shop with confidence, backed by hundreds of 5-star reviews. Use code DUM10 to save 10%. Visit thedumshow.com today. Thank you for your support.
Yeah, I mean, the Don't Inform Me show is going to apply for credentials. Whether we get it or not is immaterial. Right, I think. Right. Listen, I don't know if they want me in that room. I think they want people who are going to be yes men to the president. I won't be a yes man to the president of the United States. I'm going to be a citizen of this country and a patriot. And if they want that, then I'm there. But I will not just play ball. If there's something I don't agree with, I'm going to call it out. And I'm going to ask questions so people get the answers that they want. And I will not accept a non-answer. So, and I'll tell them that when they interview, because I will have a Secret Service interview. They'll do a single scope. They'll do NCIC and do a criminal check and all that stuff. I already have that on file. It'll take me 2 seconds to get approved. And when I'm called and asked, what do you want to bring? I want to bring an element of credibility that the press secretary wants to leverage my understanding of what the citizenry wants to hear. Thank you, Bobby Richardson.
Oh, Bobby.
Because I can and want to. I love you all. Thank you, Bobby. We love you too. You are the bestest.
Yes, she is.
Thank you, ma'am. So that's it. I mean, we want to be the conduit, as the president is the conduit to the governors, and the governors are a conduit to the senators and the state legislature, and city council and mayors. We want to be the conduit between the citizens of this country and the White House. We want to know what your message is to them, but more importantly, we want you to understand what their message is to you. And that's what I would do. I would bring the voices of my show and say, here was the response to this on my show, and here's what people are asking. So maybe you don't need to answer all this right now, ma'am or sir, but here are the 5 things that my people want to know, and I would love if you do some research and find out for me. And if you know the answer, maybe you can answer 1 or 2 of them, but take the rest with you and bring them to tomorrow's briefing so we can have a relationship that is constantly feeding not just the narrative, but the inquisitive nature of Americans. That's what I want. And I want that more than anything. And you know what else I want? I want to be talking about something, and I want the guy next to me not to ask what New York Times wants to know, but that person go, you know what? That's a really good question. I didn't think about that. Hey, I got something else to add to that question. Mm-hmm. And I want to see everyone work together to get information out of that briefing, because what it is right now, it's a get your name out there and ask something that'll stump the secretary. It's like a carnival game. What it should be is a circle jerk of information. It should be an orgy of information that everybody uses to write their columns and collectively not spin a narrative, but to report the truth. That's what it should be. And what it is right now resembles nothing to that effect. Here's Jim Acosta. Oh, go ahead, Leroy. I'm sorry, buddy.
No, you're good. No, you're fine. I would really like to hear more questions that don't necessarily just say, all right, well, what are you going to do about it? Because everyone knows how the typical reporting scheme, who, what, when, where, why, right? I would like to add to that. And instead of just asking a lot of I would let most of the other press handle the basic stuff, but I would be more curious to know what the cause and effect were. Because this happened, or because the White House or the president, because this administration made this move, we can expect this. I think those projections, whether, as truthful as they can be, if they don't know it, then they don't know it. But I think that lends to a level of transparency that people need to see in the government right now.
It's fair. I think it's right. Here is Jim Acosta's C'est la vie. Hey, Chuck, thanks for calling last night, by the way, buddy. I appreciate you. You're a good friend of the show, and you know I care about you, and I appreciate you calling in. Thanks, buddy. That's it. Here's the video of Acosta, and then I'm going to let Leroy lead this out since he talked about it.
And I just wanted to end today's show by thanking all of the wonderful people who work behind the scenes at this network. You may have seen some reports about me and the show, and after giving all of this some careful consideration and weighing an alternative time slot CNN offered me, I've decided to move on. I am grateful to CNN for the nearly 18 years I've spent here doing the news. People often ask me if the highlight of my career at CNN was at the White House covering Donald Trump. Actually, no. That moment came here when I covered former President Barack Obama's trip to Cuba in 2016 and had the chance to question the dictator there, Raul Castro, about the island's political prisoners. As the son of a Cuban refugee, I took home this lesson. It is never a good time to bow down to a tyrant.
Frank Wood says $10.80. Bobby for MVP. Love you, girl. Yeah, there are quite
Frank.
a few. We've got quite a few big donors who always help out. So too many to list, and honestly, the list keeps getting bigger and bigger, which we appreciate.
I've always believed it's the job of the press to hold power to account. I've always tried to do that here at CNN, and I plan on doing all of that in the future. One final message. Don't give in to the lies. Don't give in to the fear. Hold on to the truth and to hope. Even if you have to get out your phone, record that message. I will not give in to the lies. I will not give in to the fear. Post it on your social media so people can hear from you too. I'll have more to say about my plans in the coming days, but until then, I want to thank all of you for tuning in. It has been an honor to be welcomed into your home for all these years. That's the news. Reporting from Washington, I'm Jim Acosta.
And
don't let the door hit you where the good Lord splits you. Leroy, go ahead.
And on that note, I thought that his connection with a personal story, specifically in Cuba, that was the pride and joy of his career. Fair enough. I understand it. If you are the son of a Cuban immigrant, yeah, you're going to take that a little personal. I understand. It was at least nice that he addressed him as, hey, I was able to pitch this question to a dictator. All right, well, let's remember what side of the aisle that would happen to land on here in the United States. I would also say that for him to close it out by saying, hey, don't give in to the lies, don't give in to the fear, seems to be in stark contrast to what CNN, every broadcast of CNN for the last 15 years, to some degree, have embraced the lies, have fomented the fear in order to get Americans to do a certain thing, to vote a certain way, or to apply pressure in a certain area that they think America needs to go. So this is, to me, it's a huge hypocrisy, right? For him to say, don't give in to the lies, don't give in to the fear, when you have contributed to that for better than the last decade. Good on ya. That's my take on it.
I don't have much. I don't have much to add, other than some anecdotal story to gleam into the future of what's required from you when you had an amazing opportunity to demonstrate some contrition for what you have done. Specifically, Russian collusion, Stormy Daniels, P-tapes, not going after Bragg with the misdemeanors, not going after COVID being the China virus, not broadcasting that the CIA has said that the probability is so confidently high that they can almost assure us that it was manufactured in Wuhan, in the lab. Hunter Biden's laptop, 51 intelligence officials, the 2 impeachments of Donald Trump, the Adam Schiff secret evidence. You guys literally having an Anderson Cooper tape that you guys split and cut when it came to E. Jean Carroll, where that lady was completely batshit. It looked like she was going to a Dong of the Month club in Las Vegas interview. You're talking about rape is sexy and all this other shit, and I find you interesting and just weird shit. Jim Acosta had an ability to call out CNN and say, you know what, I felt kind of dirty. And although I felt like I had many attempts where I tried to get clean, at the end of the day, I am not proud of my work here, and I'm going to promise you this. Very similar to others who have left the corporate media, I believe that my voice can be unchecked and uncensored, and I won't have to please anyone but my listeners. This is why we're so excited that our sponsor loves free speech, and he doesn't care what I say. And he has never come to me and said, you can't say that. So, Jim Acosta, I would have had more respect for you if you would have admitted and demonstrated just an ounce of contrition and remorse for your lies before you start preaching to us about ours. Just my 2 cents to support what Leeroy had to say. Letitia James, Leeroy. She's now suing. She's suing the Trump administration over the freezing of federal funding. Let me say that again. Over the freezing of federal funding. We'll be right back.
Join WimKen.com, the social media platform built for free speech and true connection. No censorship, no algorithms controlling your feed, just genuine conversations and a commitment to protecting your rights. Sign up today at WimKen.com and take back your voice. Tell them Matt and the Dumb Show sent you.
Do I think that General Milley will face a military tribunal? No. No, I don't. Because as all of them, he will retire and the Uniform Code of Military Justice will no longer apply. It would have to be through a civilian court, even for atrocities while he was in. Here's Letitia James. You know what? I'm not wasting time on Letitia James. This dumb bitch, I can't stand her. No offense. I don't use that word
and
very
to
often.
Preserve
but good. You're just trying to get the news. Your entire case is going to be overturned. The moment he walks out of office, you guys, everything you did will be held to account. And New York's legal system is a complete shit show. And I'm done. I've already exposed them so much. But what I haven't done is Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term America should be one of those representations. Captain America. What? Captain America doesn't think that Captain America should represent America? Well, then why don't you call him Captain fucking Russia or something? Here is this woke douche plow who is the new Captain America.
Wait,
like he's black. He's black, by the way. So you're a black Captain America, and that's not good enough for you. Like you're going to sit up there and going to go ahead and pretend about racism and inequality when you are black Captain America. You mean the white Steve Rogers who was pumped full of serum, who fought the Nazis, the white guy with his white sidekick, Bucky, who dated the white chick? Okay, let's go ahead. And fought the Aryan Nation and the Red Skull, which was essentially Adolf Hitler. Give me a break. Here he is.
Oh, gotcha.
Thank you, JD. Folks, we're on overdrive. Help us out. We have hit our goal at 290.76, but we are always willing to drive. Help us out. We would appreciate it. Here is, okay, this is pissing me off.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations. Like, it's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity, someone who is trustworthy and dependable. It's kind of... This is kind of like an aspect of a dream coming true. When I was a kid, all of us as actors, I believe, want to get back to that day before someone told you no. When you look out your door and you see a 5-year-old kid with a stick and he's slaying dragons to save the princess in the tower, that kid really believes there are dragons out there. That stick is really a sword and he's really trying to save that princess. And then one day somebody told him, no. There are no dragons, that's not a sword, and that princess is not there. And all of his little dreams were dashed. So, as an actor, I feel like our job is to get back to the day where we see that dragon and we slay that dragon to save that princess. And that's kind of what this movie was for me.
Is this a euphemism for a lion, a spear in Africa in the Serengeti? I'm confused.
I don't know that we're going to go that far.
I'm going to go that far because you got the last segment, so I'm going to go ahead and talk on this one. Yeah. Fuck you, dude. I had no problem with Black Captain America because I read the comics. I don't have a problem with that. What do you want to call him, Captain Africa? Would you like to call him Captain England? Because there is a Captain England who isn't called Captain England. It's actually Britain. Do you want to talk about Russia? You want to talk about Captain Russia? Because there's one of those too. It doesn't matter whether you're reading Daredevil or you're reading Captain America. What, you want to talk about Japan? You want to talk about the Silver Samurai? Call him Captain Japan? Because if you do, every single one of those countries has committed atrocities, has done genocide, has conquered, and has obliterated people who were there long before them. Most of the entire world participated in slavery. You may not like it, but it's the truth. Sexism also. And a lot of places in the country, women are still second-class citizens. But the great thing about America is we were the second country in the world to eliminate slavery. Leeroy made sure I was corrected on that, and I've always taken that bit of information. We also, as far as suffrage, were one of the earliest classes of people and nations to embrace women and people of color and lesbian, gays, transgender, and people who are sexually different than us. And since the birth of our country, has always accepted different religions. This is what happens with the Crusades and the Moors and the Saxons, where you learn that religious destruction and theological war is not and does not behoove anybody in a society. You are Captain America. And that means you hold the red, white, and blue and the stars. And the field of blue and the 50 stars that represent the states and the 13 stripes of the flag and the honor and the justice and the purity that live within those colors say nothing about inequality or racism or sexism or homophobia. You have interjected those things and you have redefined what America is about because you're a selfish cocksucker. So it's not that you're black. I really don't care because I actually liked Falcon and I liked your character and I thought you're a fairly good actor and you did fairly well against Chris Evans. But really, you're just a giant fucking cunt. And that's why I have a problem with you. You'll never be Captain America, no matter how many fucking Nazis you fight and how many Trump supporters you take down, because that's going to be the next movie. And I am just done with people like this. So, hail Hydra, you fucker.
My turn?
Yeah, go.
You know, my biggest problem with what he was saying is that Captain America shouldn't represent America, and then he fell into this diatribe. He fell into this advocacy for a child's perspective. And he went on to tell the story about the little boy who's pretending that he's fighting a dragon with the stick and everything like that. And all of a sudden, somehow that got changed into, I think we as actors, or I think maybe he was insinuating that Captain America should embrace that, should protect that perspective, as if a child's and I'm okay with the protection of innocence, but shouldn't Captain America also teach that child maybe a little bit about history, maybe a little bit about responsibility, maybe a little bit about things beyond just the simple notion of a dragon and a stick? Because the child's perspectives they're not formed yet. And I feel like the left has always done this. This is a common theme from the left, because they have, ever since I can remember, they have wanted people to start voting earlier and earlier to gain that perspective. They have wanted to leverage people's innocence or their idea of, I don't know, naivety. Am I saying that wrong?
Naivety, yeah.
Naivety. Yeah.
Naivety.
I really feel like they've tried to leverage that, and by telling that story, it's almost like they're, I don't know. I feel like it's a slap in the face.
Sure.
I do. If you really want to protect kids, sure, it's okay to let them be kids for a while, but at some point, you got to let them see the other stuff too. And
Sure.
I didn't care about the color. I don't care that one Hulk is green and the other one is red. I don't care.
I don't care either.
The ultimately, at the end of the day, I care that people grow a little more skeptical of people with power. And if anything else, maybe that's the lesson there. Maybe Captain America should be telling kids, hey, don't necessarily trust your heroes. Maybe that's a lesson.
Well, when Marvel tried to make Captain America a Hydra double agent, I was done reading the books. Second, Red Hulk has been in the series, and Red Hulk is nothing new. So I'm not going to go into the whole etymology of the character, but Red Hulk is fine. It's canon.
Harrison
so
Ford.
is Black Captain America. My comment wasn't to compare him to what someone just texted me. Are you saying because he's black, he's a spear chucker? Okay. Can you not follow along with what I just said? If he's not Captain America, he's Captain Africa, Captain Japan, Captain Russia. So I said, shouldn't the story be about a lion and a spear, right? Instead of a dragon and a princess? Follow along. I don't care that he's black. He could be Japanese, and I would have made a comment about lopping U.S. veterans' wingers off and putting it in their throats and hanging them from pikes. There would have been some analogy. We could have talked about the Cossacks and the Russians throwing children in the small pits into pits with dogs. Okay, there's plenty of things that we can talk about, the atrocities of or trials and tribulations of what race. My point is that if you're not Captain America and you're shunning America, well, then you obviously are emulating some country that you think is perfect. And would that be Africa? Because they're not. Because 60% of that population is going to be dead in the next 10 years because of AIDS and other sexually transmitted diseases. Starvation and bad water and everything else. So don't sit here and tell me that Africa's got it going on. So those people with glass houses and all those rocks, I am sick and fucking tired. And Australians are the most obnoxious. Let me tell you that. Those people are on my page all the time, and I can't fucking stand them. I love Perth and Sydney and Brisbane. I love Australia. These people are driving me crazy. Here is Fetterman on The View. And I've told you, Fetterman is a classic liberal. He is a blue-collar Democrat. And this is a blue dog Democrat through and through. And he disagrees with Trump sometimes. He disagrees with their picks. But this is why I told you Mohammed Oz didn't stand a chance. Because Pennsylvania, he is definitely representative of a Philly, Pennsylvania guy, for sure. And Mohammed Oz isn't.
I get that vibe too.
Yeah, he is definitely a Philly guy. One too many cheesesteaks and not enough brain cells. But I'll tell you what, he's kind of wise. He's Edith Bunker. Not too bright, but wise as hell.
Yes. Thank you.
Luis, thank you. Bentley, 2110. Been a while since I've seen you, Miss Bentley. Wonderful to see you. All right. Matt, isn't that way about race? Have to be careful how I phrase what I want to say. Listen, everyone's, you know what? I am a racist against everybody. I'm racist against stupid people. Okay? Here it is.
Is it anything you've been seeing or do you anticipate that there's going to be changes that we should be prepped for that we're not thinking about?
Honestly, I haven't been surprised by anything now. I mean, he's been doing essentially what he actually campaigned on that. He announced he is going to pardon the J6 individuals. He is going to absolutely go after the border. So there's a lot of things that he's already ran on. I mean, criticized a lot of it, and I don't agree with everything either, but it's undeniable he actually ran on that and been really upfront. He's like, I am your reputation, and he's, kind of making those moves. So that's kind of where we're at. early on, immediately after the election, I was like, hey, you know, we have a choice. You know, we can freak out and follow every other thing around, you know, like a cat, you know, with a laser, you know, after everyone. But I'm not that guy. I'm not going to be that Democrat. You know, for me, there's things I'm going to agree with, I'm going to disagree with, but I'm in the business of finding wins for Pennsylvania and for the nation, and engaging the president. I think I see that as doing my job.
And well said. And I want to.
Oh, God, it's amazing. Somebody says, I don't trust Fetterman. You don't have to trust him. I don't trust anybody.
You're not
But
supposed
it doesn't mean I can't like him, because I do, and I always have. And I told you Mohammed Oz was going to get his ass mopped, and he did. I didn't. After his stroke, I was questioning, and I had some issues. But I never trashed Fetterman ever. I said that he said some stupid things. I questioned the way he dressed sometimes, but I've been giving him popular nods. And the moment he came out for Israel, I was okay with him. The moment that he defended Trump on several other things, the moment he sat down with Hegseth, and now he didn't vote for him, that's a bothersome thing for me. But at least he sat down with him and talked to him. Some last thing, and then Leroy, you got the take. One J6 got shot by the police. Melanie, I'm not picking on you, but what it should say is one J6 resisted arrest, had a firearm, police defended himself and killed him. That's what it should say. Leroy, go ahead, man.
You know, I recall being pretty harsh on Fetterman when he first.
Is it anything you've been
when
seeing
his names first popped up into our feed, into the news. But something else that I had always said is that this is way back to the very beginning of the show, is that we have to be ultra cognizant of the left-leaning Republicans and of the right-leaning Democrats. And you can say what you want about Fetterman, but he seems to be like somebody who's right down the middle. He is not necessarily in the same camp as like the AOCs or the Ilhan Omars, right? This is a guy, to his credit, who, when he says he's looking out for the interests of Pennsylvania, I believe him. He seems like he is, you know, I mean, I would have rather had a Republican in there, but even then, now I would question that, like, which Republican would have been a better choice, because Fetterman seems like he's not afraid to go against the grain. You know, he shows up to some of these newscasts. He showed up to the White House press the other day, or it was the inauguration. And when he was sitting down at the original event, he was in his sweatpants and a sweatshirt. How much more authentic can you get than that?
Yeah, slightly offensive, though.
There are times I thoroughly enjoy the guy. That's my take.
I do too. I think he's funny. I think he melts libs. And here's the thing. You know what? If you're going to run for office, I'm fine with that. But you should piss off your own party as often as you can.
Yes.
Nothing wrong.
Yes.
And because there's two different types of people. There's Lindsey Graham, who is a complete fucking wherever the dollars point and whatever leads to war, which is bad. And then there's John Fetterman, who is kind of a wild card, who is a wild card because you assume he's going to vote one way. But that's not what he does. He collects the facts and makes a decision based upon his constituents. Holy shit.
Right.
Say it again. Like, if I ever ran for office, I would just say this. You may not like me, but the reason why you don't like me is because you told me to do it. I am there to represent you. And I am going to get a very large sample size of your input before making a decision, because my personal opinion doesn't fucking matter. I am there as an elected representative, and like the days of old when we would take the tobacco seeds to Congress and go ahead and get a writ for the land we were about to sow, I wasn't there for years. I was there for one season, and then I left. And that's the way it should be. And what I love about Eli Crane, he's like, I might be there two or three terms, but then I'm out. And I'm going to go do something else with my life. That's the way it should be. Fair. Fetterman reminds me very much like Eli. He's a fervent fighter. He believes in what he believes in. Once he got away from his wife, he seemed okay. How is Fetterman's voting record? I'll look it up for you. By the way, the gentleman who was shot, J6, Matthew Huddle, 42-year-old Indiana, was pardoned by Trump. He got pulled over by police. He resisted arrest, got into a struggle and a fight with the cop, and then a firearm was found on him, and he was shot and killed. I'm not here to justify or dignify the shooting. What I'm saying is, I told you a lot of these people are fucking scumbags, and some of them weren't. And when everyone's like, they're all patriots. No, they weren't. Some of them were just shitbags. And some of those people, unfortunately, though, most of them weren't. And Donald Trump, instead of taking months and months and months, went ahead and did a full pardon. And those people will recommit crimes. And trust me when I say this, they will go to prison. And criminals don't stop doing crime. So they're all going to wind up back where there supposed to be. And the ones who weren't won't. And then that's it. It's great. Everything's been done. But you fight a cop, you're armed when you shouldn't be. There's no way he got a concealed carry within 2 or 3 days. You know? That's it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that, most of that crowd were people who just got caught up in the moment, with the exception of the people who are breaking glass and everything else. Those people absolutely were in the wrong, and they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But if you were just one of the people who were watching the cops and they opened the door and said, "Come on in," you can't really go after that person legally speaking. Yeah.
Keister Bunny, thank you for subscribing. We appreciate it. Thank you. What a name.
What a name. Yeah.
Lyft. It's not Lyft. It's more like, oh my God, redo my suspension after this person. Got hit with a multi-million-dollar lawsuit over a driver telling a morbidly obese rapper his car isn't big enough for her. Those people telling the truth again. And they apologized, and then she's suing them for millions of dollars. You know what? Here's what I would do, lady. Lady, I would sue them for lap band surgery, and hopefully that they would pay for it. Because here's the thing. By the time this case is done, you're going to fucking die of coronary heart disease.
Whoa.
And I don't mean to be rude, but you ain't going to make it to the trial. I'm sorry. You're just not. Here is this lady.
I can hear the heavy breathing from here.
Oh, yeah, I can hear her arteries working. It's like a hamster spinning on the wheel. Here it is.
Poor thing.
Blanding tells us she was just trying to get to a Detroit Lions watch party this month when her Lyft rolled up.
As I'm walking, I see him like making faces or whatever. I'm like, oh, man.
She already knew.
I can fit in this car.
No, believe me, you can.
Yes, I can.
He told.
Believe me, you can't.
Dude, that guy's probably right tire was bald. And he's like, there's no fucking way I'm putting this chick in here. I'm never going to get her out. And then, you know what I would have said? It's an extra 45% for packages that are overweight.
Told her there's not enough room in his car.
The kicker part was when he started to talk about his tires.
Well, why don't you order an Uber XL, lady? If it's your problem and it's your weight and it's your size, then why don't you order an SUV? Why don't you order a fucking wagon with 15 mules?
No, I feel like that was a slap in the face. That was like a...
We could treat it like the airlines, and she'd have to order 2 seats with the extra lap band,
Exactly.
Tires, like...
The driver said his tires could not handle her weight.
I absolutely... In a K car? In a fucking K car. Yeah.
I don't know.
No way.
What is that?
It's a K car. It's just a little rice burner, dude. It's a 4-door sedan. It's like a Civic or something. Yeah, there's no way.
Every big person you turn down because they can't fit in your car.
Well, hold on. CJ Jenkins says, can't wait to see everyone in the same place doing a live show. Thanks for all that you do. Sending prayers for R3. Love you all. Oh, CJ, man, I appreciate that. R3 did send me. R3 sent us a message, and he goes, Uncle Matt, I just saw the show. I got caught up, and you didn't have to do that. He loved it, loved the prayers, and thank you all. We're gonna have him on the show soon. Let's finish the rest of this shit.
Yeah, because they need to order the Uber.
Listen to that engine.
I know.
It's a little 3-banger.
You know what? I don't never have to order Uber XL.
He apologized.
Same thing I said. Order an Uber XL, lady.
Canceled the ride and left her there. The rapper says she's pretty tough.
I get the money and flip it and make some food.
Dank DeMoss,
Jesus,
as she's known at the mic, is crushed by the whole situation.
I just want them to know, it really hurt my feelings.
It looks like a Lyft might be.
Didn't hurt your feelings that bad to go ahead and shove 40 hamburgers down your throat before the interview.
hurting pretty soon, too.
I knew it was illegal, and I knew that it was wrong.
Her attorneys, John Marco and Zach Runyon, say wait.
What a bunch of crackers. Look at these crackers. I guess white lawyers are
wrong at
okay.
all.
I guess Jewish white lawyers are okay when you're suing for millions of dollars. I thought these people
that
were
a
the
mullet?
devil.
Is he
Zionists.
wearing a mullet?
Yeah, he's wearing a mullet.
That is the most American thing I've ever seen.
He's rocking the mullet. I mean, come on.
Is a protected characteristic in Michigan by law.
It would be no different than a driver pulling up and saying, I don't want to
John Marco. Sorry, forget it. He's a wop. He's not Jewish.
have black people in my car, or I don't want to have Christians in my car, or Muslims.
Why? Because so what you're okay. So the embodiment of Christ is based on the size. How many fat people did you see at the Last Supper? Gluttony is a sin. So if you're going to sit here and start bringing up God, God wasn't too big of a fan of the 7 deadly sins, and gluttony and sloth are certainly 2 of them that she checks the box. Okay. And honestly, once she takes a shit in the toilet, that also covers wrath. So you've got gluttony, sloth, and wrath. Go ahead, Leroy.
Where was that bakery that took their case to the Supreme Court for not baking the cake? Was Colorado?
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Okay.
And they drove 37 miles to go to that bakery to be personally offended.
The only reason I brought that up, I thought it was Michigan, but apparently I'm wrong. But it falls into the same camp, right? Somebody is allowed, if that's your car, if that's your business, then you are allowed to refuse service.
You can
refuse
refuse service. Yes. I mean, absolutely. I'm refusing service because I'm afraid you're going to bottom out my car and turn it into like a Chicano mobile where I'm going to go ahead and flat out when I try to go over a speed bump. Hey, vato.
In my car. It's the same. Under the law, it's the same.
The lawsuit is filed. Since she posted the encounter on social media, other full-figured folks have reached out saying the same thing happened to them.
That's because you are incredibly.
That's not full figured.
You're not full. You're fucking fat. You're like orca fat. You're not full figured. You're fucking death in a box fat. And somebody needs to tell you. You're welcome. I'm telling you, you're going to be dead in 5 to 10 years. And that sucks because you're a beautiful woman. You're gorgeous. Yeah, but you weigh 400 fucking pounds. What type of quality of life do you have? And it's not because you're black. It's not because you're white. It's not because you're a Jew or a Gentile or a Catholic. It's that you're fat.
Yeah.
And then there's fat, and then there's like morbidly obese.
Right.
Let's just put it this way. Fee, fi, fo, thumb would have eaten you for a 5-course meal. The giant would have, instead of eating Jack for a little snack, you would have been a 5-course meal for the beanstalk giant. You're massive. You're going to die. You can't fit in a 4-door sedan. You can't fit on a plane. And it's not personal. It's your fault. It's yours. I try to work out. I have Diet Cokes. Yeah, but it's not the Diet Coke. It's the 7 large pizzas, the 46 hamburgers, and 5 bags of Twinkies with 7 value size of Doritos and a gallon of ice cream. And that's before 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. p.m.
Honestly, I'm surprised COVID didn't,
I mean, that's sad. It's horrible. I mean, I feel bad for the lady, but I only feel bad because you're a glutton and a sloth. Now, if there's somebody on this show who's that size and they're like, I'm taking so much offense, good, take offense. My story is this: at 265 pounds, with less than 108 pounds of muscle on a 6'4" frame, from a person who most of their life, from high school and military career, was rocking at 10 to 12% body fat. Rocked a 56% body fat, 56%. I was putting down 7,000 calories a day. I had given up on life. I didn't care. And a good friend of mine who was on the teams called and just said, you rang the bell on life and hung up on me. I was so fucking pissed, but what am I going to do? And so I called him back. I'm like, fuck you, man. You know what? I don't care what team you're on. He's like, what are you going to do? You can't even make it up my driveway. You'd be out of wind. Hung up on me. Blocked my number. Called me back 2 years later and said, I love you. But somebody needed to tell you, dude. Somebody had to tell you. Somebody needs to tell this lady. So I blame her, but I also blame the people around her that are telling her that's okay, because it's not beautiful. There's nothing wrong with being a little chubby. There's nothing wrong with being a little overweight. There's nothing wrong with being severely overweight. There is something wrong with being sloth and gluttonous, and you most assuredly are both of those. Go ahead, Leeroy.
Okay, so first of all, I need to preface this. This is a picture of my wife and my stepdad. Yeah. My mom remarried, and when she remarried, this man, this great man, was not obese. He was morbidly obese. He was that lady's size obese. And we always, we loved him, we cared about him, and he knew that he needed to get the weight off. And a lot of it was just emotional repression, just kind of eating all of your anger. He had grown up in a family with, and I don't want to make this about him, but there were some reasons behind it. I say that to say this. When we would go out into public, he had to take, the occasional airplane ride, and he had to get the 2 seats. He had to get cars that were extra big. He knew that he had to do that. He made adjustments that needed to be made so that he would fit in some places. He wouldn't have pulled this kind of crap. He would not have said, "Hey, send me a Honda Civic for an Uber." There's just no way.
Right.
And he would not have been pissy about it. He would not have filed a lawsuit because he had common sense. And that's the distinction that I'm going for here. There are plenty of morbidly obese people that have common sense. I'm sure Ralphie May is one of those types of people. He's not going to go and sue somebody because he can't fit in a kiddie seat. He knows, right? And as long as you have that, people are pretty accommodating. But they also have every right, when they pull up in an undersized Honda, they have every right to say, "This ain't going to work, homie. You should have gotten the bigger deal. You should have gotten the Uber XL. You should have made whatever accommodations you needed to make in order to fit in the car, because I can't take you."
Evelyn says, my only objection to her is her lawsuit. My only objection to her is everything because of the lawsuit. The whole reason for the lawsuit is because of her bad choices. Yes. Listen to me. You don't get like that because you have a thyroid condition. Okay. No. You just don't. You don't get like that because you have
that's a Red Baron pizza condition.
You're big boned. That is a gallon of peanut butter on your apple that you're eating. Okay, that does not happen. Okay, don't tell me, and I know that nobody here is saying it. I'm just saying overall to everybody, don't tell me that is not earned, because it most assuredly is.
Absolutely.
And people are like, and we gotta shift gears after this, but
yeah,
people are like, "Hey man, I walked and it didn't work." First of all, you
walked far
worked
enough.
out. You did work for a couple of days. That's not the way this works. It took years to get that way. It's going to take years to get it off. Hell, man, I was pretty sediment for the last couple of years because of COVID. But there it is. There's 4 chins there. That's 265. That's not muscle. There's not an ounce of muscle on me in that shot. And if I showed you where I'm at now, it is night and fucking day. Leroy's never seen me in person.
No.
Most people have never seen me in person. They don't know. But you know, I could show other pictures that would demonstrate where I'm at, but this is a far cry from that. And I'll tell you what it took is dedication, determination, and hard work to do that. That's tonight.
Yeah.
So when I sit
Good
down
on
and you see my head, you're like, oh, well, but I'm not fat anymore. And I'm not out of shape anymore. I'm a big boy. And I work my ass off to get there. I have a broken back. I have a 3-level fusion. I've got pins in my knees, pins in my hip, full reconstructive surgery on my nose, on my jawline, on my jawbone, shoulder, wrists. Do you have every excuse not to do it? The only excuse you have to do it is your life. You got to make a choice. That's it.
Well, you have to make it a priority.
Yeah, that's the choice.
You have to make it a priority. Yep.
That's the choice. I got to show these other 2 videos, and then we got to go. Folks, we're in overtime. We're giving you overtime. You have an opportunity. You haven't donated to the show, thedumbshow.com/donate. Let's get it to 4. Let's get it to 4. Do what we can. Help me out here. I got to show you a couple more videos, though, because these are important, because these are good. Here is one that I found about a black man who disguised himself as a white guy.
I had no idea.
And it's awesome. I mean, just watch this.
Deal what to expect. I got a new nose. I got new eyes. I got bushy eyebrows, a thick mustache. I got glasses, and voila, I was a white guy. It felt strange. I was curious to see how eager people would be to give me directions as a white guy. Excuse me, sir. Where's DePaul University? Excuse me, where can I find DePaul University? DePaul is... You know, people were very willing. Even in the bitter cold, they rolled down their windows. Excuse me, where's DePaul University?
DePaul is, go that way.
Uh-huh. I didn't feel I was a threat. They didn't feel I was a threat. Okay, thank you. At this building, I breezed past the doorman. This one may have looked like a tough one, but they just buzzed me right on up. Thank you. When I went into makeup, but coming back as a...
Listen, liberals, if you're going to recycle videos from like 1986, you might want to go ahead and try to recreate it and make it somewhat convincing. I don't know if you saw that, but there was like a Jeep Wagoneer. There was a Datsun. I mean,
so
there's no doubt it used to be bad. But come on, man.
I think
seriously.
they took that from the TV. There's a TV series back in 2006, and I think it was called Black Dot White, period. Black White. That was the name of the show. I think that's what that was lifted from, and I went ahead and looked it up, and it seems right.
So look it up. But either way, I just thought it was kind of funny how we're still on the same fucking topic.
Yeah.
20 some odd years later. Darla says, I can't work out anymore. My knees are bone on bone. I have a deteriorating backbone. I have spinal stenosis in my neck and in my lower back. I get it. Water. And you can even sit in a chair and do chair aerobics. Get yourself two pound weights from Amazon and just do this with your arms. Do this with your shoulders. Do this. Move with your legs. Go ahead and sit in the chair and just do flutter kicks. You can do all sorts of things. The only thing you can't do is go ahead and say that you can do nothing. It's a mind over matter. Every night I get out of bed, every morning, I feel like I literally have been on a stretcher. Like I feel like the Spanish Inquisition. My body, I have chronic arthritis in every joint in my body. And I just choose not to let it take me over. You can do it.
Motion is lotion.
Whoa. Here is the last video, and I've got some other ones. We'll save them for tomorrow night. This is Scott Jennings. I love Scott Jennings, and this is Leeroy. You get first dibs. But this is going to be our last one tonight. So if you haven't had a chance, jump on in, see if we can get a last-minute donation or two, get some special accolades. This lady she's like, I'll tell you what she said on Twitter, and I went in there and I just crushed her. But Scott Jennings is really smart, but even Scott Jennings can have a bad night. He didn't have a bad night. This lady did something, and watch what she does. Here you go, Leeroy.
This salute trutherism is outrageous. This is the most.
Do it right
this is
now
the
on
biggest.
TV.
This is the biggest
So
conspiracy
do it right now.
So Scott Jenkins says this Nazi salute from Elon Musk, trutherism, is bullshit. And she's like, do it right now then on TV. And I'll address it after Leeroy, but let's listen to the rest.
On TV. If you think it's normal, if you think this is a normal way to greet people, do it right now on TV. Why won't you?
I want to. This salute.
So Scott Jenkins on CNN says this is ludicrous. You guys seriously, you think he's a Nazi? And she says, do it now and do the same salute on national TV. And she goes and says, so people challenge her and go, wait a second. So you wanted a person to do the Nazi salute? Why? Why did you want to see that? And she goes, I didn't want to see that. I wanted him to do the salute so he could learn that what he was doing was the Nazi salute. And I said, so you're openly admitting that it wasn't a Nazi salute, and you're just making a big old virtue signal over nothing on national TV? She blocked me. Leeroy, go ahead. What do you think about this? Because I've got my ideas. And I want you to think, if we're sitting down and you and I are doing a show and somebody comes on as a liberal and says, I want you to dance, monkey. Go ahead.
And I would say you're making fun of my heritage. This has been going on ever since the inauguration. There's still meme after meme after meme out there of everyone exactly that, virtue signaling, to position themselves to say, hey, look, Elon is a Nazi. Trump is a Nazi. You were all Nazis. Nazis. That is everyone in the Republican Party. I'm surprised that there aren't ovens that you guys are creating right now. And it's ridiculous. He literally said, my heart goes out to you. Granted, his gesture did not look good.
Awkward.
But it was awkward, but that wasn't the intent behind it. And you know it. You fucking know it. You are trying to inflame this for the simple case that you think that people are going to believe you. You think that if you repeat something often enough, that somehow your lie will become a truth. That is the fact of the matter. To everyone who understands what happened, you are making yourself look foolish. You are actually making yourself you're distancing yourself more and more from people with common sense. So please, by all means, keep it up, because this Nazi rhetoric did not work for you in the last election. And if you keep it up,
that's my line,
it will burn you again. So please don't change your message. Continue forth.
I'm so excited. Because this is Democrats don't stop. I was going to say the exact same thing. I was like, keep it up. We fucking love this stuff. Because if there are so many Nazis in the world, why do you guys have so many fucking horrible examples of them?
Right.
If it's like a Nazi I found a Nazi in my water bottle. A Nazi. I turned around the corner. Nazi. I went. I played Yahtzee, and instead of getting Yahtzee, I got Nazi. Nazis are everywhere. Well, why don't you guys have more convincing material? Like, I don't know, like throwing people into incinerators or gassing people,
right?
Or making them wear gold stars or serializing them with tattoos. Can we see any of those things? How about concentration camps? How about we just go to the beginning where we throw fecal matter at them? Can we talk about hold on, any Mexicans that are getting fecal matter thrown at them? Can we talk about how about anything that even resembles remotely what a Nazi is? Can we get Christian nationalism not to be maligned with Nazism because the Nazis weren't Christians? But here's the real thing. You know what I would have told her? You want me to go ahead and give you a salute that resembles what you're ultimately going to try to pigeonhole me in, which is a Nazi salute, because I can't replicate what Elon Musk did, because I'm not going to. Because what you want me to do is give you a Nazi salute so you can cancel me. So how about this? How about you suck my dick? And I'll give you any salute you want, sweetie. And I would be kicked off the show, but I guarantee my podcast would have 2.5 million viewers the next night. That's what I would do. And I would burn myself to the ground just so I could have, because I guarantee 2.5 million people would be like, fucking following that guy. That's the guy I want to listen to every night. Scott Jenkins should have just said it to her. Sure, come on over here and suck my dick. I'll do whatever you want. because that's what you're doing to him. You're demonizing him, and you're trying to make him the lowest common denominator in world history, a fucking Nazi. And it is completely 100% abhorrent for you to go ahead and call somebody who you just disagree with a Nazi. You're a piece of shit. You have no idea about the Holocaust. Go ahead, Leeroy.
You and I should open a tattoo parlor specifically for Democrats, and the only tattoos that are available are numbers on forearms.
Right.
Oh, we'd
Right.
make millions because of the victim mentality that is a Democrat, the far lefty Democrats, the victim mentality that says, "Oh, so and so's a Nazi. I know that I would be put in." All right, well let's make our millions. I think that's a fantastic idea. I'll do it.
It's hard for me not to see how bad they want Nazis. They want Nazis so bad. They just want Trump to wear a little red circular lapel pin. They
get a
just
little
want
mustache.
him. Get a little mustache. But you're not going to get that because he wasn't a dictator on day one. In fact, he just did exactly what he did on day one in 2016. He destroyed Obama's legacy in 16, and then he just destroyed Biden's legacy in 16. And that's all you got. The only thing you have anymore is that Trump is a Nazi, and it just shows that America made the right decision. He's got a fucking mandate. He doesn't have to listen to you. He knows this melts you down. He knows you're going to pretend this is Project 2025.
You're being owned.
He fucking knows all of this. He's just going to keep doing it to you because he owns you. You guys say that Donald Trump disappearing would be good for America. No. Donald Trump disappearing would be good for Democrats. And guess what? He ain't going anywhere. You people need to get a clue. You have no party platform. You have no leader of the Republican Party, our Democrat Party. The leader of the Democratic Party is on a beach in Rehoboth, and he fucking hates all of you. Biden hates every one of you. You will be like, he's going to George Bush you pricks. You will never see him. Just allow yourselves to shed some proverbial mental anguish and just realize he's your president. He's your president. He's not a Nazi. He doesn't demonstrate any of the qualities of a Nazi. He's not a fascist. You think fascism is using the constitutional powers invested by the people and the office of the Constitution of the United States as what a Nazi does. That's not totalitarianism. That's law and order. He's following the law. He's doing the things that are within the confines of the law. And even if you disagree with some of the executive orders he's done, that's why we have a Supreme Court. These processes are being put in place, and you guys can't fucking stand it. It's ludicrous. Last one, and then we're done. We're going to sign off for the night. Gosh, I like being on with you, Leeroy. Here's this. This one's all you.
Do you not, put the politics of the election aside if you want. Do you not look at the immigration issue in this country and what has transpired over the last 4 years, given the number of people coming into this country illegally, given the firestorm that this has created, the national dialogue about it, given some of the efforts, frankly, by the administration, especially early on.
Listen to this. It's amazing how quickly
they changed their tone.
How they change it. Oh, wait, we're not even done. Just wait.
That went from
Mayorkas
undocumented to illegal real quick.
Wait till you listen to Mayorkas here as he throws the Biden administration. This is the guy that says the border was secure for 4 years, under deposition, under oath, against the Senate and the House legislature and the Senate Oversight Committee. Ultimately says who should have been impeached and honestly arrested for dereliction of duty. Says that the border was secure. Listen to this shit.
To be more lenient than they have been. Do you think none of those things, if you could go back, you would do differently?
Look, Andrew, yes. And you have to understand something. And this is not specific to government, but to any large organization, including a government administration. People have different views on what the correct policies should be, what the correct operational measures should be. Those disagreements, those different views are voiced, decisions are made, and then everyone marches in unity together. That is the nature of a large organization, and the government is no different.
But just so I'm clear, that are you suggesting your own personal views about how to operate this were at odds, or there was a distinction between your personal approach and how you would have wanted to do it and how maybe your bosses wanted to do it?
I don't want to get into the deliberative process. We're one team, and it's one effort, but this is not a revolutionary concept, that there are disparate views when one has many people involved in the decision-making process.
Oh, boy. What a limp-wristed excuse to say I sucked at my job. All you had to do was your job. It's not that hard. You knew it needed to be done. You knew that fentanyl was being trafficked over in record amounts. You knew that human trafficking was a problem. You knew, if anything else, you knew that the Republicans were going to use this against the Democrat Party and make this a major linchpin to the campaign, and you let it go. This is your fault. This is your fault that the Republicans are in charge. If you really, Leroy, I have some questions about memorials at right. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Michelle, send him a PM. And
yeah,
send me a PM. If you can't get a PM, send me a PM, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, no worries. You knew that this was going to be a problem, and you still did nothing.
Not
just and now
Mr.
when you were asked, you had every opportunity that you could have thrown your former boss under the bus. Right? You're not in charge. Right? I mean, at this point, you're not going to be in charge anymore. What do you have to lose?
You got a fucking pardon. You got a pardon.
You could have at least told the truth and said, I was pressured by the administration to let it go. Right? But you didn't do that. You pussy. Oh,
I love how he's like, I love how he says, it's, this is not an unknown concept where, corporations stand together. You're not a corporation, douchebag.
Right.
Second, Democrats stand together and have collective groupthink. At least we have the Freedom Caucus. At least we have groups that caucus with us but don't necessarily agree with us. At least we can say that. Dane, I have no problem with Australians. I just have a problem with liberals. You're good. Folks, thanks for watching the Donut and Friendly Show. We really appreciate it. Thank you for the donations tonight. Very, very generous. Leroy, tell them when we're going to be on next.
So Matt you're going to be on tomorrow, right?
I thought
you'll be on with. That's right. I am filling in. Thank you for reminding me. Matt and I will be on tomorrow, same time.
3 nights in a row.
3 nights in a row of Matt and Leroy. Will Olivia be here?
I don't know, man. I just kind of like to gay it up once in a while. So,
me too. I'm game. Let's go grab the loop.
We can put her in the middle. Whatever. She'll be fine.
Either way. So same time tomorrow and Thursday, and I look forward to seeing you guys.
Yep. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for everything you do. We'll see you tomorrow. We've got some great stuff coming. Hang tight. Stay with us. Leroy, as always, my brother, it was a great night. We appreciate you. I love you. And we'll see you guys next time on the Donut and Friendly Show. Hey, maybe a new tagline. Bringing you conservative-based opinions from various parts of the states that always focuses on truth and never is paid for or bought by the narrative-based influencers in this business. We got to figure a tagline.
To shorten that up, but yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's why I was saying it, right? I was going to capture it on camera because I want to get that tagline. Sometimes they'll say, coming to you from like, this is Jesse Waters and this is my world, whatever. I want that tagline because we should be able to say like coming from the heart of America, something like that. Down to earth, whatever. But we got to come up with that tagline.
It'll come to me when I'm sleeping tonight. I'll take everything that I just wrote down and I'll distill it down into something awesome.
And let's not forget, we can agree, we can disagree, you can love me, you can hate me, don't forget to don't unfriend me. That's been the tagline forever. So maybe we just keep that. But either way, good night, everybody. We love you. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a
good night. Love you guys.
See ya. Bye. Oh, wait a second. Leroy's gone. I'm not gone. I'm still here. Let me see if I can find this. See if I can find this. Coming. It'll be available on the show. I think it's going to be available tomorrow. A new brand of coffee. It is going to be delicious. It is a limited edition. And I think it is going to be a medium roast, maybe a dark roast, but it's got green beans in it. It's supposed to be delicious, very, very rich, not too acidic, but it's 45.47, and it will be released. So we have a new brand of coffee that'll be up on the site probably tomorrow. I will give you the, it's a blend of South and Central American coffees. That way the flavor doesn't change too much. It's got good flexibility, and it's made with green and brown beans. And it is specifically a Colombia and Brazilian blend, but it also has Guatemalan and Mexican beans in it. So it's a 4-blend coffee. It's supposed to be delicious. Matt is sending me a sample. We'll have it on sale tomorrow on the show, and I will have the descriptions for it up on the show. Thanks for watching. God bless. See ya. Bye.
Adjusting transmitter output. This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.